I have been just finishing editing this video. It has 6 meals for seniors, and I just wanted to step in here and give you an update and what this video is all about. Now, I haven't been posting any videos in a couple of months, and in the future I'll might tell you about the reason why. But anyways, I've been working on these seniors meals because there have been a lot of comments, people requesting more of these ideas and more videos for specifically for seniors, and I understand that. It is quite the task when you are cooking for the elderly, and it's usually a family member like your mom or dad or your grandma. Right now, I'm no longer cooking for my mom, as she's in a long-term care home. So it's been a little difficult trying to come up with these videos when I'm not doing it on a regular basis, and I haven't been doing it for quite a while. So what I did was I decided to start with these 6 meals that would get somebody started for like a whole type of week's worth of food for somebody. And just giving you an idea of how to start with getting a group of sides, you know, like potatoes or rice, pasta, like those kinds of things, getting those sides done. And then incorporating meals that isn't the same thing every day. So these 6 meals is a variety that I chose for this specific video. And as the weeks go on, well, I'll be cooking for my husband, so somebody will be eating these meals. And as the weeks go on, I will put videos in that have like two meal ideas together, 2 or 3, where you can add those and incorporate them in with all these other things that you would have in the freezer. For instance, if I was doing 10 pounds of sweet potatoes, well, you don't want to feed somebody sweet potatoes every day for 3 weeks to get rid of that, 10 pounds of potatoes. You want to have a variety so that it'll be once or twice a week with that specific side and those frozen vegetables, etc. Okay? So what you'll be doing, you might be doing 10 pounds of sweet potatoes one day, or mashed potatoes, white potatoes another time, and putting those into single portions, but they're not used all the time. They're stored, and you just use them as required for whatever meal. Okay? And I also want to come across in this video to show you how it can be easy to incorporate starting something like this using the time that you have, so that it's not an 8-hour day of trying to get everything done at once. It's okay, Monday night I'm going to be making such and such for my family. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 10 pounds of potatoes to this meal, and I'm going to mash up 10 pounds of potatoes, and then I'm going to flash freeze those. And then the next night when I'm making a different meal for my family, I may double that and do another side, a large side. So just incorporate everything that you do with the time that you have to make it easier on yourself. And that's if you have a 15 or 12 or 15-hour day to just do straight cooking to start off, well, that's fun and that's great and that's fine. But it's not always doable. So I do have a playlist, like I said, I'll put each recipe that is supported in a Hot Logic or a microwave. I will put that into my playlist that says Cooking for Seniors. So you just have to go right to that playlist and see what it is that I've prepared that is suitable for reheating in Hot Logic. All of these senior meals are already pre-cooked. So, a lot of meals that are out there are called freezer meals, but freezer meals are not necessarily pre-cooked meals. I can put a freezer meal into a freezer bag and just prep that for a crock pot, and it's all raw, right? And then you're just putting that into a crock pot and cooking that up. But these particular meals for seniors are specifically made to be able to go into a food warmer like a Hot Logic, see my video on that, or into a microwave safe dishes, okay? And I know it's a long video. But, you know, I hope you get something useful out of it. Today, I am starting my week of doing a bunch of freezer meals. And so today is kind of like a prep day. I'm about to make some lunch, but at the same time, I'm going to start prepping the ingredients that I need for doing a bunch of freezer meals this week. So I'm going to be doing a bunch of bacon. And since I'm doing bacon, might as well get the sweet potatoes in there. And I'm also going to be doing a bunch of mashed potatoes and prepping my potatoes for scallop potatoes. Okay, so I'm taking this time to just prepare sides for these meals and for flash freezing for seniors meals, for individual meals. I'm going to be putting a meal in tonight, barbecue chicken with homemade barbecue sauce. Anyway, so this is the beginning. I can't do all of this stuff in one day. It would be probably a 12-16 hour day, and that's just not in my plans right now. So I'm just gonna kind of show you how to get started. When you want to make freezer meals, you want to do seniors meals, and the easiest way to do this, honestly, is to just, whenever you're doing a meal for your family, or you want to plan a meal for seniors that aren't living with you, you take that meal, you make it for your family, and you double, triple, quadruple. You just do a bulk recipe of that and then freeze it as you need it. And then that's going to go in the freezer. So if you're going to be making a barbecue chicken, right, in the crock pot, and you need your chicken, whether you're doing thighs or chicken breast, you need your barbecue sauce, everything like that. Well, you make a huge batch of it in your crock pot, and then you just add your sides to it as you're freezing them. And so if I was going to make barbecue chicken tonight and I was going to make mashed potatoes, then I would make a large batch of mashed potatoes, flash freeze those, a large batch of barbecue chicken, and have that for dinner for the family, and then the rest of it flash freeze for freezer meals. And those kind of freezer meals are for reheat, to have at lunchtime leftover. So if you're going to work the next day, or you send your husband or your kids or whoever going to work and they want a hot meal for lunchtime or for their dinner if they're working, and those are just reheated meals. Okay, I could just tell you, hey, make your mashed potatoes, make your scalloped potatoes, all this stuff, you know, do your sweet potatoes, cook your bacon, but YouTube is a visual thing. It's watching people do things. So I'm just going to quickly show you the process of this prep day, and we'll go from there. Okay, so my first pan of bacon going in the oven, 400 degrees. Do a couple of pans at a time, as much bacon as you need for your recipes coming up. All right, my bacon is all done. Let's put aside, it's cooling off. I've got some huge sweet potatoes here. Now, this comes from a bag that's called Imperfect Vegetables, and I don't like the skins on these, and so I had an option whether or not to bake them or to peel them completely, and what was I going to do with them? Steam them. If you boil them, they're going to be very watery. Your end product's going to be very watery. If you steam them, you can still have a very watery product, and it's not really something you want if you're doing freezer meals. So I prefer to bake mine and have a drier product. So there's all different sizes in here, and you know, this is pretty ugly and stuff. So what I did was I took a vegetable brush and I washed them all under water, put them all on here just plain as they are, stabbed them all with a knife. These ones here, you may want a knife to go in deeper into the centers, because I believe it does help to get that heat through the center. So these here are really big, like really big, and they're going to take longer than these small ones. So I will be checking these in about 45 minutes. These may take an hour to an hour 15, hour 30. Okay, I'm just going to show you. I've got chicken thighs on the bottom, chicken breasts on top. And I'm going to start cooking this in a cup of barbecue sauce. Right, here's my homemade barbecue sauce. This is just over 4 cups in here, so maybe I'll do 2 cups. Yeah, that should be good. We'll get that started. I'm going to cook that on high. Putting that on high for 4 hours. All right, so this has been going for about 4 hours on high. And what I did was about halfway through, I separated all of the chicken breasts and all of the chicken thighs that were all frozen together, stuck together, and just separated them all, and then they just continued to cook. Now, this is a little bit watery because you got the water from all the chicken, so you got a bunch of chicken broth in there. Have to be careful with especially what I do with the chicken thighs underneath, because the chicken thighs are great when they're shredded. Look how small they are. That's the chicken thigh there. Okay, so day 2. This is day 2. Yesterday I did my sweet potatoes and bacon. I got them prepped. And that's for mashed sweet potatoes or just cubed sweet potatoes as a side for my freezer meals. And the bacon is going to be ingredients for some of my crock pot dinners. I've got the barbecue chicken. These are also some more chicken breasts. And I want to show you this. I got these on sale. First of all, it was a sale price on the chicken, and then it was 30% off when I saw them in the bin, off the sale price already. So when you see stuff like that, that's when you stock up. That's when you stock up and you can make budget-friendly meals. And today I'm going to be making potatoes. Now, I got these. These are yellow potatoes. I got these potatoes for $1.77, 10 pounds for $1.77. Today's the day I'm going to peel and prepare this whole 10 pounds of potatoes. I'm going to be making mashed potatoes. I'm going to be making scalloped potatoes. I've got my bowl. I've got to, I'm going to go sit in the living room, watch some YouTube videos or a Christmas movie. I'm going to peel all of these. They're going to go into a pot of cold water, and so I'm just going to prep as I go today. So things don't have to be stressful. You could do it each day that you have. You could do it and start building up your freezer for these sides, okay? So I'm going to put this frozen chicken in the fridge because I'm not going to be cooking these up until tomorrow or the next day. We'll be doing some other chicken meals. Okay, I got all of my potatoes here. They've been sitting in cold water, and I'm going to cut some up. So when you start to cook potatoes, so that the potatoes end up cooking evenly, you want your potatoes to cook starting with cold water, not hot. I'm going to do half of these potatoes for mashed. So I'm going to try to get them all the same size, so that's the size that I want. And then the other potatoes I'm going to put through my food processor and do a bunch. So if I've got a big potato like this, then Alright, on to slicing the rest of them. Okay, so I've got butter in here, salt and pepper, and that's it. So if you're freezing mashed potatoes, I don't put milk in it. I just don't feel that they come out as good. I also don't know how these yellow potatoes are going to do. I usually do white for freezing mashed potatoes. Anyways, I'll get these all mashed up and we'll be back. Taking the mashed potatoes, this here is not dirty, that's actually just stains from tomato sauce. But if you take the mashed potatoes, what I've done here, this is actually 2 half cups, so this is a full cup here, and I've impressed it into these containers, and I'm going to freeze them in here. And then when they are frozen, I'm going to pop them out and put them into a Ziploc bag, because when I make meals for my husband, or for your loved one, your mom or whoever, you can just pop them back in here, have your protein and your vegetables. And so I thought, instead of just doing a big round, which takes up a lot of space in here, I am sizing it to the containers that I'm going to be freezing it in. So you can think of that when you're flash freezing your mashed potatoes. Okay, so I have 4 pounds of ground beef that I want to cook up for a couple of dinners. I want to try that scallop potato with the ground beef and cheese casserole, and I want to make shepherd's pie. So instead of just using my small 11-inch cast iron, I thought, you know what, the biggest thing that I have is my wok, and I've never cooked ground beef like in bulk in a wok. I've never cooked ground beef in a wok before, because you know there's a small bottom on it and then it's wider on the top. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw everything in here. I want to see how this works, how it works for me, because I don't have a huge pan. I want to invest in one, but I want to have a place to store it, and I want to be able to use what I have. So I'm going to see how it works in the wok. So anyways, I'm going to be doing that 4 pounds of ground beef, and then because I know it's going to be fatty, I'm not going to put the onions and peppers in it until I drain the fat out of it. So right now, ground beef in the wok. I actually had to put it up high for the heat to really get it cooking well, and I think that's good to do it on high heat, like not the highest heat, but 8 out of 9, I guess. Put a lot of this to the side, put the onions in the middle. I'm going to put 2 cups of onions in here. And I have frozen diced peppers. I'm going to put 2 cups. Now, I don't usually put peppers in shepherd's pie, but that's okay. A teaspoon of pepper, which is a quarter teaspoon per pound. Two teaspoons of salt. Also going to do 2 teaspoons of onion powder. And 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. Okay, now I'm going to put this heat up, and I'm going to finish cooking this as if I was frying it all together now. So let's see, I could do half. Just try to really measure this out. Okay. So I'm going to take this portion out for my traditional shepherd's pie, which will be later. Now for this, there's a couple of things I have to add. It says to add some tomato paste. Salt and pepper is good. Now this is the part that I'm not sure about. I'm not sure about this tomato paste. So I'm just gonna put half a can of this 5.5 ounce, which is about 2 tablespoons. And then it calls for oregano. Some oregano here. So I'm just gonna put a spoonful, tablespoonful of oregano in here. And I'm gonna cook this up, cook this all together. Let's see how this turns out. Oh, smell that oregano. Wanna taste some more of that? It actually tastes really good. Okay, this is ready. Okay, so I took half of what I sliced up yesterday, and this is how I'm going to start. Put a little bit of ghee on the bottom here. I'm using ghee, but you can use butter or any kind of oil to grease the pan. These are potatoes that I prepped the day before. I put them in cold water and put them in the fridge overnight. Now we're just layering all the meat onto the second layer here. Okay, and I want to evenly spread this out. Because each portion is going to be whatever meat this is, right? I'm going to put some sliced Swiss cheese. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could put cheddar if you want in there, but we're going to do Swiss cheese. Right? And then it says potatoes on top of that. Just gonna put a little bit salt and pepper. Beat 6 eggs and 1.5 cups of milk. I'm gonna do 1.5 cups of milk because these potatoes have to cook. So I'm doing 1.5 cups of milk. A teaspoon of salt. A teaspoon of oregano in here. Yes, I should have a bigger bowl, but I wasn't sure what the egg was going to do for this dish. But what I found was it was like a layer of ricotta that you get in lasagna when you make a lasagna. And I would definitely not leave this out. This was a great additive for this casserole. Put 2 cups of cheese. Okay, so that's going in the oven now. Usually it takes scalloped potatoes about 45 minutes to cook potatoes. So that has to come to a boil and then cook the potatoes. So we're probably looking at at least 45 minutes to an hour. We'll check it as it goes. So in the oven it goes. Okay, so the rest of the meat I put back in here into the pan. This is my second half, and what goes in here for seasonings is a couple of tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, so there's 2 pounds of meat here. 2 tablespoons Worcestershire sauce. Drain the water out, and then can of corn. And for this one, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of paprika. Okay, probably 2 teaspoons. So this is just going to heat all together. I like having the corn cooked with the meat. Okay, so this is cooked up here in a medium heat pretty nicely. Just taste it for seasoning at this point, and this will be ready to go. So what we're going to do with this for individual meals, for senior meals, if you're not doing a casserole tonight with mashed potatoes in the oven, then you can let this cool. Remember, this is 2 pounds of meat, so depending on how big size of a serving you want to give the meal, you can do 6 to 8 portions, depending. You know, it really depends on how much the person eats. So, you know, that much with potatoes, or if you're cooking for somebody who's going to work, a husband, you could put a cup of this with a big cup of potatoes, mashed potatoes on top, and then that'll be ready to go. Okay, so there's the ground beef for my shepherd's pie. My ground beef casserole scalloped potato thing is right there. And because I'm making the scalloped potatoes casserole, the beef cheesy thing, I'm making the cheese sauce for my cheesy scalloped potatoes, and that's where the rest of my potatoes are going to go from my 10-pound bag. So I made mashed potatoes yesterday that have been flash frozen in their containers, and I have this ground beef casserole that I am experimenting with. So the rest of the sliced potatoes that I did, I'm doing the cheesy scalloped potato, and I'm not going to go through all of that in this video. I have a video up how to do scalloped potatoes 2 ways, so I'm just doing this quickly, and we'll get all these sides together. So this is 45 minutes, and then I'm uncovering it. What this does is it cooks the potatoes. When you keep the cover on, it allows the potatoes to steam in whatever liquid is in here. So this one is the one with the beef in it, and these are my scalloped potatoes. And I'm going to leave them in here for another half hour with the things off. This turned out so good. I was really impressed with this. Main thing to remember about this is to let it sit for at least 15 minutes after you take it out of the oven, just to let it firm up. The same with the scalloped potatoes. Good 20 minutes to leave the scalloped potatoes to firm up before you start dishing into it. If you're just making these for your freezer meals, then let them completely cool and refrigerate before you dish into them and flash freeze the portions. sharing a few recipes for the seniors meals and the freezer meals, and many of those are with potatoes or sweet potatoes, etc. on the side. So I'm going to make something here that is for rice. So there's a couple of things that I want to share with you for rice. One of them is really easy, where you can basically just put a jar of stuff on top of some chicken and have that with rice. That's butter chicken. But this here I want to do a sweet and sour sauce with diced up chicken in a crock pot. So you can cook this for a family meal. You could double, triple the recipe for the sauce, whatever you want to do. And this is a new recipe for me. I want to see how it goes. Let's get started with this sweet and sour chicken. Okay, so I just diced up 2 large chicken breasts, and that is going into the crock pot. But I'm also going to dice up 2 more of these really large chicken breasts. These are still a little semi-frozen, but they're easier to cut like this. And that's going to be for another recipe, and that's going to be cooked separately. I don't have any yellow onions in the house. I do have some frozen onions, but they're diced kind of small, and I want this to be a little bit chunkier. So I'm going to use my red onion, and I'm going to dice up some carrots and these 2 peppers. Quarter cup cornstarch, 1/2 cup apple cider vinegar. Whisk this until smooth. Even if it just sits in here, it's gonna get clumpy. Two tablespoons of soy sauce. 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1/3 cup of ketchup, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of pineapple juice, try to, if you're using sugar, to get the sugar dissolved. In goes the chicken. In goes the, oh, you know what, it's not gonna, yeah, I'll just leave the peppers in there. Okay, I'm going to put 1/2 of the can of pineapples in here. I think that's going to be enough for the amount of chicken that's in there. And then the sauce. I'm going to mix that up all together. Alright, so I've got the sweet and sour chicken in the crock pot, and now I'm going to use, just because these are all freezer meals, I'm trying to use my time as best as possible. So I've got the other chicken breast in here, and I'm going to put this in my Instant Pot. Okay, so I've got that chicken in here, and it doesn't take a long time to cook chicken, especially diced chicken, but I need a cup of water if I'm going to be putting it in here. If it was another day and I was doing this, cooking it a different way, I could do that, but I'm gonna have to put at least a 1/2 cup of water in with this chicken. And this is the sauce that I love. Let's see. All right, it's the Patax brand, and the ingredients here, hopefully you can see the ingredients on here. Water, cream, tomato, concentrated tomato puree, sugar, spices, modified cornstarch, unsalted butter, ginger, garlic, salt, dried onion, vegetable oil, whey protein, concentrate, lactic acid, dried fenugreek leaf, and paprika extract. Okay, so this is my go-to for butter chicken, and I think it's one of the healthiest if you're not doing it from scratch. So this is what I've been using. I like the flavor of it. What I'm going to do is I want to cook this chicken, and I want to use it for butter chicken in my frozen meal, but I want some flavor of this to already be in the chicken, especially if I'm doing it in the Instant Pot, which is pressure cooking. So I'm going to put half of this in there for flavor, because this is going to be watery, right? So what comes out of here in the end is going to be very watery. It's not what I'm going to use when I put it in the freezer. I'm going to be putting this on top of it, mixing this in with the chicken after it's cooked. So if you have pre-cooked chicken, then you're good to go. But I don't have pre-cooked chicken right now that is not flavored, because I have the barbecue chicken, but I can't use that. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put a portion of this for flavoring, and then I have to add water to that to make it pressure. And I'm going to put that on for, it doesn't really need a long time for pressure cooking. I'm going to say 10 minutes. So that's all going to be done at the same time. Okay, so that's it in there. I'm going to mix that around a bit. Pressure cooking, sealed, manual, 10 minutes. Okay. The sweet and sour chicken, still in a crock pot. This, after the 10 minutes of cooking, it didn't take a long time for it to come up to pressure because there's not a lot in here. Then 10 minutes, the Instant Pot automatically goes to like a warmer mode. So I turn that off. So like it'll go on low and it'll start counting. I turn that off, I turn the pressure cooker off, and I don't let the steam out. I just let it depressurize on its own. That's called a slow release. A fast release is when you flick the venting to steam and you let out all the pressure. It keeps your meat more tender if you can take the time to just do a slow release. And what will happen is the pressure will come down, and I'll be able, see, I can't even take the lid off now if I try, because it's locked, because it's still under pressure. So I'll wait for that to depressurize. In the meantime, I've been mashing the sweet potatoes that I baked in the oven the other day. All right, so all my sides, you know, are basically done. All my potato meals, my mashed potatoes, mashed sweet potatoes, and then I can start continuing with the freezing methods to be frozen in the containers or in separate bags and just put into containers as we use them. So that's the next process. So basically what I'm doing is, when you're starting out and doing seniors meals, you're cooking for someone else in another household. Yes, you could do a whole day from like 9 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night and get all kinds of stuff done. But you can't do that on a long-term basis. It will wear you out and you will start to hate to do it. And you don't want to feel resentment when you're caring for somebody that you want to do something good and loving for. So that's why I say, if you're cooking meals for your family, and say it's your mom or your grandma, let's just put that into perspective. And they eat the same food that you eat at home. Just double and triple your meals and freeze those portions for their freezer meals. Otherwise, this is what you could do. When you're cooking one thing, cook another. So I already have all the chicken thawed, and I had two meals that I needed diced chicken for. So I prepping my butter chicken. I got my sweet and sour chicken going here. Gonna have this for a meal. This takes a few hours. This took 15 minutes. Well, it was 10 minutes for to cook, but didn't take long. I'm gonna take this out, show you what I do with this, and I need that pot later to make rice for dinner. So there you go. We just make whatever you're doing, just make it work for you. Make it work for you so that it's not difficult and that it's not an extra chore. Because when you're taking care of seniors, it's a big job. It is a full-time job. And if you're running two households like I used to have to do, you don't want resentment of, oh, I gotta, the one day you have off, say you're working Monday to Friday, you got Saturday to clean your house, do laundry, do your grocery shopping, and then all day Sunday keep cooking for someone else. That's hard when you have to do it week after month after year, right? So just trying to give you some tips to make this a pleasant experience for everybody. All right? Okay. The chicken has finished here. I'm going to take this out and I'm going to show you what it looks like. There's all the chicken, and it's very tender, but the water and everything is too much in there, okay? So I'm going to drain that out. Just going to take the chicken, put it into another bowl. Now, what's really interesting with this, to me this is waste right now, but if I was going to be making some rice, I would go ahead and use this because there's chicken broth in here with water. I would use this as water to cook rice with this flavoring in it. That's another thing that you can do, okay? You can actually put that away in your fridge and do something like that, okay? But for now, this is what I'm gonna do. All right, so that is going to be my chicken portions for, I just want to see how tender this is. Yeah, very, there's just something about letting the Instant Pot do a slow release. So I'm going to put this aside, I'm going to let this cool off, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with the butter chicken. All right, so I've got the butter chicken off to the side, cooling off. Our dinner isn't quite ready yet for the sweet and sour. Smells really good though. But I am going to start prepping rice right now. And if anybody suffers from bloating and that type of thing after eating rice, one of the things that helps with that is soaking your rice for about a half an hour before you cook it. So I just rinsed my rice and now I'm soaking it in a bunch of water. Now this is not the water that it's going to cook in. There's only a cup in here and it only needs a cup and a half of water in an Instant Pot. So I'm just going to let this sit. I'm just letting it sit. Everything's cold here. I'm letting that sit for half an hour and then I'll drain the rice and then I will put the proper amount of water in for that and cook it for dinner time. One of the things that I do want to address right now when it comes to making rice and using it in a freezer meal, there are safety concerns about using leftover rice. So there are concerns about using leftover rice in meals. If you're going to make rice and you want to use it for a freezer meal, first of all, it is a little difficult having a good texture of rice when you're reheating, doing these reheated meals. Sometimes it's better to do the minute rice fresh in some of these seniors meals, and that's what you've seen in some of my freezer meals from the past. But if you're going to use rice that you're cooking for a freezer meal for the future, you have to cook your rice. Get it to cool down really quickly, and then bam, into the freezer, flash freeze it. There are spores that are very toxic, can be very toxic when it comes to rice, and the last thing you want to do is to be cooking a meal for an elderly person and them end up getting sick because the rice was left out too long, or if it was in the fridge too long, whatever, reheated the way it was reheated. You can flash freeze that rice. That's really the only way that I would feel good about recommending that you use pre-cooked rice. Other than that, it's basically with these Hot Logics and stuff, you can cook your minute rice in there. That's really the only safe way to do it if you're not going to flash freeze your rice basically within half an hour or so after cooking it and it being hot. Get it cooled down and then into the freezer. Okay, so on to the next thing. Okay, it's been 2 hours since this chicken's been in here, and I wanted to see if the chicken was done yet. And because these are cubes, diced up chicken pieces, they're going to cook faster. And this was on high, so I did take a temperature, and they were at 165 degrees already. Knowing that the chicken is cooked already, and the peppers are still firm, I can actually say that this is ready to eat at this point because because the chicken is up to temp. And after my rice has been soaking for at least 15 minutes to half an hour, then I'm going to cook the rice and we'll be ready to go with that. At this point, I could put it on low because the chicken is cooked. And that only took 2 hours. Here I have a fully cooked smoked ham. It is raised without antibiotics, blah blah blah. It's already fully cooked, so all I'm going to do is take it out of its packaging, slice it up, because it is going to be reheated later on when we reheat the meals. So this is how I'm going to prep this. Okay, here we go. 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. 1/4 cup of mustard, and I have both French's prepared mustard and Dijon in here. Quarter of a cup of vinegar and 1/4 cup of honey. Alright, here's the different containers that I have. I have these large ones. These don't fit into the single Hot Logic, but just watch the video that I have about the Hot Logics and the size of containers that fit into each one of those size of the Hot Logics. So these are larger. These ones here are smaller. So these are like a 3-compartment round, a 3-compartment rectangle. This is like just a smaller serving or a side. I have the rounds here. And let's see, you can tell how deep that is. And then I've got different ones here. Now, they might look the same as you're looking at them like this, but this one here is deeper than this one. So you can obviously fit more food in this one than this one here. Okay, because there's a difference in the height. All right. So I'm going to put different meals into these different containers. If you want to use glass, you go ahead and use any containers that you see fit for you. Okay, it's official. They're done. All of these meals are done. We've got 7 here, 7 varieties to put together for you. And I just want to show you how this can be done. Let's get to it, okay? I started off with doing sweet potatoes in the oven, baked up. Then they got mashed. They got butter and salt and pepper in them. These were mashed potatoes that were also flash frozen in these containers so they would fit as I needed them. Then what did I do? What did I do with the potatoes? The scallop potatoes, the sliced ones. So I did some mashed, and then I did the sliced. I did a scalloped beef and egg potato bake casserole. I got my cheesy scallop potatoes here, and so I did half of the meat went into there, half of the meat is here. It was seasoned differently. This is for shepherd's pie. I've got my barbecue chicken thighs with some breast in here. These are the rest of the barbecue chicken breasts that are sliced up. The let's see, what did we do next? We did the sweet and sour chicken. At the same time, I did diced chicken for butter chicken. Okay, I did rice for dinner last night. This was leftover rice from last night, and I'm telling you, if you don't flash freeze your rice, then don't use it in leftover meals, okay? There's just some extra mashed potatoes for the shepherd's pie. And then I easily bought a smoked ham. You could do sausages, you could cook sausages, you could do whatever you want for this side. And then I also made a honey mustard sauce for the ham. I also made my barbecue sauce from scratch, and it will be going into this. So I've got all of that set, okay? I've got my butter chicken sauce, I got everything, all right? Now, let's put these meals together. I'm gonna put the shepherd's pie in here, scallop casserole dish in here, a barbecue chicken in here along with some sweet potatoes. I'm going to put barbecue chicken in here with mashed potatoes, ham and scallop potatoes in here. We're going to sweet and sour with rice, and the buttered chicken here. Now how I'm freezing these. You can make shepherd's pie in a casserole dish and wait for it to cool down in the fridge and then cut it up into squares and do this. But for now, I just want to show you that this can be done like this also. So let's put a cup of the meat in there. Then we're going to go ahead and put the mashed potatoes on top of that. The other way to do this is I would just put it in here, put the lid on it and freeze it just like this and have it ready to go. Okay, so that's shepherd's pie. Next, scallop potato casserole. Whatever size portion your person is going to have. I'm doing this for my husband, so I'm going to make this a little bit larger. Okay, so you can put that in there. You can also put an extra vegetable here with this casserole. I'm gonna put probably green beans or something in there. Barbecue chickens, 2 of these. I've got a mixture of thighs and chicken breasts in here. I'm just mixing them up. Careful how you portion your meat because people don't need as much meat as you think they do. So I'm just going to put this here. And another one over here. All right. One of these with mashed potatoes. They're already pre-frozen. See, I froze them in here so they fit nicely. Okay. So we'll take these out, package them in a bag, keep them in the freezer. The other way I could do this is just putting fillets of the barbecue chicken in here or chopping them up. And then I need to take the barbecue sauce and add more barbecue sauce on this. And I know I have to do this because that barbecue sauce is kind of watery after it was in the crock pot with the chicken. And then we're going to put our frozen vegetables in here. Next one is going to be ham. Here's my ham. Okay. And scalloped potatoes. Look at that big thing of scalloped potatoes. Put some vegetables in there also. And then what I'm going to do with this is I have that honey mustard sauce. So when this cooks, that's all gonna cook in there. Another thing I could do is just put that in between. If you want to chunk up your ham, however you want to display your ham, that's what you do. So we've got the ham and scalloped potatoes. We're gonna do buttered chicken in here. Mix that up so that that's really nice and thick. Put lots of sauce, okay? Because this is gonna water down a bit when it's being cooked, and that's what you want. You want that for, where do I want that cooked? If you want more rice, put the rice here and then put your sauce and your chicken here. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to make rice in a minute with minute rice. These are gonna go in there. Okay, so this is going to be this one, and then we're going to do, let's do this sweet and sour in here. Okay. So I've got my sweet and sour. Now this has lots of vegetables, so you don't have to put in extra vegetable, but if you want to, I mean, you can use this for putting maybe some peas or a little bit of broccoli in there. And now I'm going to show you how to do the rice. For minute rice, this is brown rice. But when I used to do it for my mom, she used to use the white rice, and she didn't eat a lot, okay? So you're gonna have to portion this out, kind of test it on the people that are eating it and find out what it is that they like. Okay, so basically when you make minute rice, it's 1-to-1 ratio, okay? So I would do 1/4 of a cup, and then I would do 1/4 of a cup plus a little bit more, because in the Hot Logics, when we're I'm gonna put double the amount in here, so this is 1/2 a cup. 1/2 a cup, they say, is a serving for a regular person, okay? But it really depends on how much the seniors are gonna eat. They don't eat as much. Depends if you're male or female, what your appetite's like. Okay, and then I'll put, so if you put 1/2 a cup of rice and 1/2 a cup of water, put a couple extra tablespoons of water. If you do 1/4 cup of rice and 1/4 cup of water, just, you know, put maybe a tablespoon more of water. Okay, so 1, 2, and a bit. That's how I find that works better. And then a dollop of butter and salt, a little bit of salt and a dollop of butter on top of this. Now, what I used to do what I would do with these is, if I knew that I was going to be making 6 of these next week, I would take whatever container that I was going to be making the rice in, and it would be empty, okay? I would put the minute rice in whatever section I was going to use, and I would freeze it like that. And then I would leave it in the container. And so when I was going to do this, you see some of my other videos, when I'm doing this, the rice is already solid and frozen. It looks like it's cooked rice, but it's not. It's just frozen solid in the water, okay? So now let's add our vegetables. Here we go. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 meals, okay? 7 meals to start someone off. This is an idea of how to start. Now, which means that I have duplicates of everything that's in here that's in the freezer, okay? Ready to go for another week. And so next week I will make 3 more different kinds of meals to add to this. So they're not eating the same thing every week. And then the week after, I'm gonna do 3 different more meals. So hopefully I could do some more videos to give you ideas in 3s instead of like a large video like this one. But anyways, here's the shepherd's pie, a little dollop of butter. I've got the baked scallop and hamburger casserole here with some broccoli, dollop of butter. I've got barbecue chicken in both of these. You could do whatever kind of barbecue chicken, doesn't matter. I've got some green beans in here. I've got some California mix in here. I got the mashed sweet potatoes, and I've got regular mashed potatoes in that one. I've got the ham with the honey mustard sauce and cheesy scallop potatoes. Now, I would put corn in here. I just don't want to open up a can of corn right now just to do that. And then I've got the minute rice here with some peas and butter chicken. And I've got the sweet and sour chicken, a little bit of broccoli, dollop of butter, and the minute rice here. All right. And now what you need to do is when you cover them is just always, I like to use some masking tape and a Sharpie, and I cover these, and I'll show you what I do. Okay, so I write butter chicken, and I'm just gonna fold one of these sides under so it kind of makes a tab. Butter chicken, you can date it, you can do whatever you want, okay? And then that way it's easy to remove this afterwards. People don't have to go like trying to scrape up. That's the way I do it. So I'm going to cover all of these, label them, and put them in the freezer. Now these aren't pre-frozen here, so I have to make sure that I don't tip these when I'm bringing them over to the freezer. And there you go. 7 beautiful meals to go. And that's the way we do it. You need a lot of room in freezer for these. So 1 week at a time is enough. And that's why I freeze the other portions in bags, in Ziploc bags. And then just fill these containers as I need them.